Welcome back, crafty friends. It's Alicia of the Call Me Crafty Al YouTube channel, and today I am back with cards 2 and 3 in my Card a Day in July series. Since I started a little bit behind, I started on July 2nd, I thought I would get caught up and then just create 2 cards in today's video. In yesterday's video, this is the card I created, card number 1. I will link my Card a Day in July playlist below, and I'll also pop it up in the upper right corner now. So in front of me, I have already went ahead and picked out the cards that I'm going to be using, and this is from Paige Evans' Turn the Page Project Life Kit. I shared an unboxing of this a few days ago, and I said I would be using that kit for the first few cards in this series. So make sure, again, I have that original unboxing video linked below. I hope you'll go check that out. Now, if you're enjoying this series, as always, I appreciate a thumbs up, and let's go ahead and get started on today's 2 cards. For card number 2, I have picked out a 3x4 card from the kit, and it says here's to new adventures, and there's a little travel coffee mug on there. And I've also picked out this floral 4x6 card. I will be adding some texture with this chevron embossing folder from Darice, and for my card base I will be using regular white, and for some of the card front I will be using this kind of eggshell or natural ice cardstock. To get started, I am going to cut a piece of the natural ice cardstock to 3.5 inches wide by 5.5 inches tall. For the floral piece, I'm going to cut it to 5.5 inches tall so it will fit on the front of my folded card. And then I'm going to cut myself 2 strips of 1 inch. My card base will be top fold, so I'll cut this to 4 1/4 right in half. And then I'm going to go ahead and just fold my card base so that is all ready. The reason that I chose this floral background is because if you look closely at the coffee cup, these pink flowers here, they show up in this pattern paper, so I thought that would help tie it all together. I am now going to go and emboss this piece of natural ice with the embossing folder. I'll be right back. And here's what that piece looks like embossed. It's going to give me some white space that I want on the card, but then there's also a little texture just so it doesn't get to be too plain. I'm going to put each of these strips, one on the left and one on the right, just flat down onto my card front. The embossed piece will also go straight down onto my card front. And I'm going to be using some foam tape to adhere the focal point or the sentiment card. You'll notice I adhered that a little above the middle, and I'm going to find something to add down here, whether it's gems or sequins. I've had a little change of plans. I'm still going to add something down here, but I think that I'm going to use this navy blue and white twine, and that's going to help me pull some of the navy blue out of the background paper, and I think it might be nice to have some threaded around the bottom and then just like a little knot or bow. So I'm going to carefully lift up the bottom portion, and since there is already adhesive on there, I don't need to worry about that, and I should just be able to wrap this right around there. Okay, so I can never tie bows correctly. I'm just going to tie a knot and call that good. If you have any tips on tying cute little bows so they sit correctly, I would appreciate that. Please leave those below. I did notice when I put the card together that my white cardstock was either longer than 11 inches, or when I embossed the natural ice piece that it shrunk it a little bit. I have a little bit here at the bottom where you can see like the pattern paper and the card front. So I'm just going to trim that off really quickly with my trimmer. I will trim off the same amount from the front and back of the card. And there is card number 2. For card number 3, I chose the floral background because I thought it went well with the letters in the Celebrate Today. If you look closely, the words are made up of a pattern. So to kind of tone down the floral background, I'm going to be using some of the matte Duralar that I have shared a video with it before. It's kind of like vellum, but it's much thicker and will hold up better in a card. And I just bought this at Michael's. I will link the video below where I made my first card with this, just so you can see that as well. So I'll cut my card base from this. To start, I'm going to cut this to 8.5 by 11 because it is 9 by 12. So if I go ahead and cut it to 8.5 by 11, then I can get 2 card bases out of it. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to 5.5 inches wide. This will be another top fold card, but it will be landscape orientation instead of portrait. While I have my trimmer out, I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more cuts. I'm going to cut this scrap of white cardstock down to 3 by 4. And that so on the inside of my card, there'll be an area to write a note to the recipient. I won't have to try to write on the floral pattern paper. The blue cardstock is going to be a matte for the sentiment, so I'm going to cut that with just a small border. So I will do 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. The sentiment card itself is 3 by 4, so this will just give a nice small border around there like that. And I haven't decided yet if I'm going to put this inside the card or on the front of the card with the sentiment. The last thing I need to cut is my pattern paper, and I'm going to make this, it's already 4 tall, so I'm going to make it 5 1/4 inches long. To get started with this card, I'm going to go ahead and put my pattern paper on the inside. Now you will be able to see the back of this from the outside of the card. If I had thought about that before, I probably wouldn't have cut the 3/4 off just one side. I probably would have split that up just so I wouldn't have the pink line here. That might have cut it off. So hindsight's 20/20. That there, and then you'll just see that just kind of mutes that a little bit, and I think that's just going to help my sentiment stand out. Now I'm just going to try to figure out if I want the border on the front or if I want to put it on the inside of the card. I think I'm going to go with on the front. You can barely see it on the inside, and I think this is just going to help my sentiment stand out. So I'm just going to place this right down in the middle of the blue piece of cardstock. And now again, another hindsight is 20/20. I could have made this a little bit bigger since that blue will hide it, but I'm just going to go ahead and leave it like it is. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere My white cardstock to the inside. Again, this is for the personal message to the recipient. Center that in there just as best as I can. And then same thing, center this on the front of the card as best as I can. Upside down would probably not be good. So there is card number 3 in the series. Super quick, super easy. Thank you so much for joining me today as I created my 2 cards. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you'll give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions about anything you saw in the video that I didn't answer, please feel free to leave those below, and I will answer them to my best ability just as soon as I can. If you are new to my channel and you would like to watch the rest of this series or my other videos that I create, I hope you'll hit subscribe below. If you're already a subscriber and regular viewer, thank you again so much for stopping back by. I will be back tomorrow or the next day with another video. Until then, I hope you're all having a crafty day. Bye-bye.